Item D, approval of minutes. There is none. There are none. Item E is citizen comments. Roger, do you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, I've got, is it all right if I sit down?
Yeah.
Sure.
So everybody knows me, I'm Roger Rayle, I live at 3141 North Wagner Road, and I've been involved with, as a citizen volunteer at the Gelman site issue for now going on 27 years, because I'll just read my statement. They say that those who ignore history are doomed to repeat it. How many of you know the history of the Gelman dioxin site? On November 21st, 2016, Ann Arbor Charter Township, Scio Township, and the Sierra Club, Huron Valley Group, jointly filed a petition requesting the EPA conduct a preliminary analysis of the Gelman Sciences Incorporated site to become a federal EPA Superfund site. Less than a year later, on October 20th, 2017, the EPA issued its preliminary assessment and a letter to petitioners that states the Gelman facility generates a score above 28.5 under EPA's hazard ranking system, used to assess the relative potential of a release to pose a threat to human health or the environment, making the site eligible for further investigation and evaluation in the National Priorities List (NPL) listing process. How many of you read the letter, the report, and all of its attachments? You don't have to answer. Raise your hand or whatever. I learned a lot from those attachments, and I've been involved all these years, but those were things that were in the DEQ files that the EPA consultant managed to find and pull out. They didn't pull out everything. That's not the complete administrative record. How many of you believe that the EPA goals for the Gelman site cleanup would be stricter than EGLE and DEQs, maybe as low as 0 to 3.5 parts per billion without passing more costs and risks to the public? How many of you know that Scio Township had a signed agreement with Gelman Sciences for a 0 to 3 parts per billion cleanup? A signed agreement. That agreement was to use controlled pump and treat with reinjection to the contaminated aquifer to flush out and clean up the dioxin, and only use pump and treat with discharge to Honey Creek at 0 to 3 parts per billion if the reinjection option proved not to work. How many of you know why the goal of 0 to 3 parts per billion was in the plan, even though Michigan's cleanup standard for dioxin had already been loosened from 3 to 77? How many of you have seen the video of then Gelman President and CEO Kim Davis speaking about the plan? I gotta change this because it says in this very room. I thought we were gonna be in that room. At the October 27, 1995 Gelman information meeting, in which he states, remember, cleanup standard was 77, but they're gonna go to 0 to 3. He states, we're doing what we're doing because it's the right thing to do. How many of you know how that plan came to be and the critical role of this simple common law township? Township had a key role in that. How many of you know my history of getting involved with the Gelman issue? I won't go through all these because I'm going to give you a copy of this. But basically it says, I got a call. I got involved in 1993. I'll go because you really should know this before you go into any closed session. So it's August 1993, 26 years and 1 month ago. I helped organize the about to be defunct DNR Citizens Review Committee into a more robust citizens group. The immediate challenge was to keep Gelman from discharging 60 to 100 parts per billion of partially treated dioxin into Honey Creek that runs next to many Scio Township hole and motor wells, including mine. In 4 months, using citizen volunteers, we got petitions from all but 2 property owners within 1,000 feet of the creek to keep Gelman's faulty plan from being implemented. That was all citizen action. By the way, those 2 property owners were DTE and Conrail. The company then proposed a series of revised plans that had even weaker protections, but those were ultimately rejected as well. In December 1994, at Gelman's shareholder meeting, a few of us challenged the company about their risky cleanup plans. That led to a call to me at work in May 1995 from then Gelman President and CEO Kim Davis. At that time, we had an office in Parkland Plaza over the Western Plume. Kim asked me to meet with him because the cleanup was, quote, starting to affect my business.
30 seconds.
I'm not doing this as an individual, I'm doing it as leader of 2.
Just push a,
Yeah, it's only another couple of paragraphs. Where was it? Meet with him, it started to affect his business, i.e. his business of transforming Gelman sciences into a more professionally run business. I said it can't be just me, it has to include all the local government and community stakeholders. We met with him at least monthly for several months without relying on any lawyers to come up with a community acceptable plan that was presented at that October 1995 information meeting. That led to Gelman Sciences signing an agreement with Scio Township for a 0 to 3 parts prevailing discharge. Then in the spring of 1996, Chuck Gelman took back over control of the cleanup in secret and went back to the faulty discharge plan, thus reneging on the signed agreement with the Township. And I say yada, 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 because of all the things that happened in intervening years. Now today, we have a unique opportunity to get back to an effective, protective, community acceptable 0 to 3 parts per billion plan. But only if you act now to get the EPA in with their stronger enforcement resources. The only option left without passing more costs and risks to the public. It's not going to be just the EPA by itself. It's still going to take ongoing cooperation with all the stakeholder entities that make up CARD. Already having CARD in place will help speed up the EPA's work. How many of you know how CARD came to be? How many of you have been to a CARD meeting? More than a handful of CARD meetings. Because we've been meeting since 2006. And of course the IPC, whenever there was a critical issue that came up, the predecessor of CARD. And then of course there were all these grassroots citizens group that went on for years before that. So that's my statement, and I hope you will do the right thing and help protect the future of Scio Township and the region and all the other entities. So thank you.
Thank you, Roger.